Chapter 14. Between Light and Shadow. The village settled into its quiet rhythm as they returned. Soft lanterns glowed like fallen stars among the homes, and the gentle murmur of evening carried through the air. Low conversations, the faint clatter of tools being set aside, the distant sound of a lullaby drifting from somewhere unseen. Elara walked beside Kaelen in silence, her thoughts heavy with what she had felt in the fading lands. The emptiness lingered in her senses like a ghost. "You were very quiet," Kaelen said at last. She exhaled slowly. "I'm thinking. That can be dangerous." Elara glanced at him, surprised by the dry note in his voice. "Is that a warning from experience?" A faint hint of amusement flickered in his eyes. "Frequently." She smiled beside herself. They reached a small rise overlooking the village, a natural outcrop of dark stone warmed by nearby fire pits. From here, the lantern lights spread below like a constellation grounded in earth rather than sky. Elara sat, drawing her knees close. The tether settled gently between them, its glow soft and steady. "For most of my life," she said quietly, "I believed the world was simple. Light above, darkness below, good and bad neatly separated." Kaelen leaned back against the stone, gaze on the distant horizon. "The world rarely honors neat divisions." She studied him for a moment. What was it like, growing up here? He was silent long enough that she wondered if he would answer. "Cold," he said finally. "Not in temperature, in uncertainty." The land was already weakening. Every generation feared they might be the last to see it whole. Elara listened carefully. "My predecessor taught me that leadership is not about power. It is about carrying fear so others can rest." She felt a quiet respect stir within her. "And you?" he asked. "What was your childhood in the sky?" Elara leaned back, looking upward instinctively, though the true sky was hidden far above layers of shadow. "Bright," she said softly. "Too bright, perhaps. We celebrated innovation constantly. New designs, stronger structures, more radiant gilding. I spent hours on the terraces watching sunlight refract through crystal arches." She smiled faintly at the memory. "My mentors always said I had a gift, that I could see how light wanted to move." Kaelen glanced at her. "And now?" She hesitated. "Now I'm not sure I understand it at all." The tether warmed slightly, responding to something unspoken. Below them, a commotion stirred near the central clearing. Raised voices carried faintly through the air. Elara stood. "What's happening?" They descended quickly. A small crowd had gathered around a cart piled with harvested plants, pale, glowing leaves that seemed to pulse faintly. Two villagers argued quietly but intensely. "Not enough this season," one said. "We must ration," another replied. When they noticed Kaelen, they fell silent. "My king," the first villager said, bowing slightly. Kaelen approached calmly. "Tell me." "The southern fields yield less each cycle," the villager explained. "We fear the next harvest may not sustain everyone." Elara felt a familiar ache of guilt stir. One of the villagers looked at Elara, eyes narrowing. "Is this because of the sky?" The question cut through the air. Elara straightened instinctively. "I don't know," she said honestly. Murmurs spread. "She brings light," one of them whispered. "Perhaps she brings the drain with her." Elara felt heat rise in her chest, not anger, but a fierce need to respond. "She came to understand," Kaelen said evenly, "not to harm." The first villager studied Elara. "Will you help us?" Elara met their gaze. "Yes," she said simply. The answer felt both terrifying and right. The tension eased slightly, though uncertainty remained. As the crowd dispersed, Kaelen turned to her. You did not have to say that. I know, she said, but I meant it. They walked toward the edge of the clearing, the sounds of village life resuming behind them. After a moment, Elara spoke softly. Back home, I was called the cursed architect. Kaelen's brow furrowed. Why? She traced the faint glow of the tether with her fingers. Because every major project I designed revealed flaws no one wanted to see. I questioned methods, challenged assumptions. Some believed I brought misfortune simply by noticing what others ignored. Kaelen regarded her thoughtfully. Truth often feels like a curse to those unready for it. She laughed quietly. That's comforting. He hesitated, then said, In my youth, I was called something similar. Elara blinked with curiosity. What? Bearer of unwelcomed dawn. She blinked. That's surprisingly poetic. It was not intended kindly, he said dryly. They shared a small smile. For a moment, the weight of their circumstances lifted, replaced by a fragile sense of understanding. The tether glowed softly, its warmth steady, no longer merely a binding, but a quiet reminder of shared purpose. As night deepened, Elara realized something that unsettled her in an entirely different way. She felt safe, not because the world was gentle, it was anything but because somehow she trusted the person beside her. And that realization carried a gravity she was not yet ready to fully face. Above them, unseen beyond layers of shadow and distance, Athelgard floated on its brilliant currents. Below, in the quiet village, a light gilder and a shadow king sat side by side. Two forces once believed irreconcilable, now slowly learning the shape of each other's truths. The distance between light and shadow, Elara was beginning to understand, was not as vast as she had always believed.